Hi, everybody. We are back, and we are joined by the brains behind TBPN. It has been described many, many ways. The Free Press referred to it as the most influential talk show you've never heard of. I've heard CNBC of tech. I've heard Meet the Press of Silicon Valley. Like, what do you make of those comparisons?
We try not to compare ourselves to anyone.
Yeah. I think one comparison that we've found somewhat more relevant has been the Pat McAfee show for tech, because ESPN very much exists, but Pat McAfee show started as a podcast, eventually became 3 hours of live stream, sort of in our slot too, 11 a.m., more casual.
He's commenting on sports.
We're commenting. And he has a lot of journalists join to give the scoop what the trade is happening in the NBA, or the analyst joins from ESPN, but he's more of a commentator, and he's grown a community on his show of commentators. So that feels a little bit more accurate, but they're all reasonable.
And I guess another question for you is, like, what made you think there was an opening for something like this, given the evolving media landscape? Like, where did you see the white space?
There were a lot of tech podcasts on the charts. You can see them when you pull them up. There weren't that many that were run by full-time people, like full-time creators. There were a lot of folks who...
Thousands of VC podcasts.
Yes. Lots of people that had fun.
So you guys came from you, right?
Yeah, well, so I think what allowed TBPN to break out early and allow us to be here, I guess, like 12 months into starting, was that in tech specifically, at least the world of tech insiders, there was, if you were starting a podcast, it was one format. It was a weekly interview show where you'd have one guest on. And so everybody that started a podcast would just start that exact show, that format. I think we realized that, like, in media, the product is the format. And so by introducing a new format, you're introducing a new product. And people were listening to more podcasts than ever, but everyone just kept launching the same exact format. And so by launching a new format, which was originally just John and I talking about a printed out stack of posts, we were able to quickly kind of break through the noise.
And now the format is live Monday through Friday, 3 hours, 15-minute interviews, very smart brevity style, if you will, 15-minute interviews. But what really breaks through from what I've seen is the clips, the way that you're able to clip these conversations.
We actually do flex on the length of interview a ton. We'll have people on for an hour. We'll have people on for 5 minutes.
Is that based on the conversation and the flow? Is it worked out ahead of time?
Yeah, a lot of it, we do have a lot of flexibility because we don't have traditional commercial breaks. All the ads are host read as necessary. Sometimes they'll be read in the middle of a conversation with someone if the time calls for it. But a lot of times, if something's going really well and we're having a great conversation, we can just continue. And people, fortunately, come on the show. They know they hang out in our waiting room, and they know that they might be on in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. They're okay getting pushed back a little bit.
Well, and you have fun with it. I've seen you let somebody in from a waiting room before another guest leaves. They get to banter together.
Exactly.
So you're creating, it's almost like you're creating this insidery feel.
Sure.
Do you ever get concerned that it's too inside baseball? Is that the goal?
I think we've been okay from the very beginning of, like, defining a niche and not going for scale. I think everybody that comes on our show, for the most part, wants to create or invest in the next billion-dollar company. And there's somebody that they're trying to disrupt. They're trying to revolutionize an industry. And we actually are very much the opposite of that. Like, we just enjoy talking about tech and business. Like, we're like pure enthusiasts for the stuff that we talk about. And so being insider just means that it's the conversations that we enjoy having. And because we have to show up every day and make the show, we are the entrepreneur, but also the talent. If we started having conversations that weren't interesting to us, we just burn out.
Yeah.
Because it's 3 hours every single day. It's actually more like 4 hours. Oftentimes we get kind of carried away.
Well, so you were telling me a story earlier, because I was thinking through, like, oh, you're commenting live in real time. I asked you, how many corrections do you have to issue? And you said, actually, sometimes the corrections come to you in real time. Can you tell that story?
Oh, yeah. This was a great one. So I had interned at a startup back when I was a child, basically around the .com era.
For brevity, okay?
Yes.
Start at your childhood. Where?
Sure. So, and I was telling the story of this particular company. They burned a lot of money. I got the story sort of wrong. And the founder of the company was in the chat, now 20 years older, and said, you got the story wrong. That's not what happened. I demand a rebuttal. We send him the Zoom link. He jumps on the show and actually corrects the whole record for us.
We have like a
45-minute conversation with him. It's fantastic.
I wonder what his comms person was thinking.
I don't think he has one now. But he's very much post all of that.
Well, so I guess that's my other question for you is like, given how free-flowing it is, given how casual it is, we have seen some executives come on your show and say some like pretty crazy stuff.
Yes.
So
Carp, I think, takes the prize for that one.
Well,
I was going to say Palmer Luckey, but
oh, okay.
anyways.
I was thinking Keon. There's a lot.
We're listing a lot of them, right? So for the communicators in the room who are thinking about risk and opportunity, like what is the benefit to opening their CEO up to a conversation that maybe might veer off?
I think it's very founder-led. We've never tried to set up one of those moments, and we actually feel very uncomfortable oftentimes. And I think you'd be surprised at how many founders that have sort of adopted like a going direct approach that are actually like seeking controversy because they thrive on attention. And so they're purposely creating those moments.
And you, I mean, have you gotten backlash for that, for not pushing back, for not saying that's outlandish? Like, I feel like I have seen some critiques of the fact that you don't ask quote unquote hard questions. Like, how do you respond
to that? I think the people that are actually a part of our recurring audience would not share that critique. I think where we typically get that is like if we have Vlad on from Robinhood and we don't ask him about GameStop. Mm-hmm. And from our point of view, like that's a 4-ish-year-old story. He's like rehashed that a million times. And so to us, that's not a hard question. I think other people might say we don't try to do gotchas around politics. Yeah. And we've like very much avoided political content and continue to. And so there's a lot of people that want us to ask political questions and we just don't. So yeah, I would say that what is a hard question? Like we will push people on their margins. Like that's a more interesting thing to push somebody on than like are you spending more on
of AWS if he's going to buy Google's TPU chip is a hard question, but it doesn't read like a hard question.
Well, it doesn't break through headlines.
Exactly. But I do think in a year or two, that moment will be very important and very relevant.
So you've got that clip.
Exactly. Wow. And this has already played out like many, many times where we've talked to CEOs about some niche in their technology stack, a relationship. Oh, are you going to be doing a deal with Intel or are you going to be doing a deal with Apple? And they kind of brush it off and they get squirrely and they're like, I don't want to talk about that. And then it comes back, oh, they did do it. We got it right. Yeah. And that's fun.
I want to zoom in on your audience because it does seem like a lot of the conversation is focused on what the audience wants, what the audience expects. What can you share about the audience that you reach? And how many people do you?
Yeah. Well,
so the audience is like very reflective of the guests that we have on. Yeah. And I would say like we're constantly getting texts from people that have been on the show, adding to the show, adding commentary. So like I would say it's very circular in that regard, but we've always looked at it since the very beginning, which is that there's 200,000 people in the world that we are focused on making content for. Now, many millions more people will see the content every year, and that's great, but it's really that 200,000 people that are technology operators, founders, investors.
And specifically interested in technology business, and also we lean heavy on the private markets, and it's just harder to draw a broad audience for a private market company because the viewer can't participate by buying the stock. And so if you talk about public market tickers, then people can say, okay, I'm going to buy the stock, I'm going to participate.
Well, yes, but you guys had a partnership that you announced today with the New York Stock Exchange.
Yes, we're definitely excited about covering more public companies, but right now we've been very private market.
But that's where it's headed.
Exactly.
You want to cover more public
And we've had we've had Mark Zuckerberg on this year. I know Sienna is somewhere out there. There she is. We've had Satya Nadella on the day that they announced that they had finalized a new deal with OpenAI.
A lot of this is like tell the story of the Figma IPO. Like that I feel like that's the private market story. And yet our experience with it was at the New York Stock Exchange on the IPO day. And yet our audience definitely thinks of Dylan Field as like prodigal, like this amazing young founder who did the perfect startup thing. It's like the classic Silicon Valley story. And so that's technically a public markets day for us, but it still feels like our DNA. I don't know. It's all blended.
Yeah. Another way to think about it is like we do a lot of like product analysis and market analysis and like business strategy analysis and commenting on like a company's distribution strategy more than fixation on the stock price that day. So like we had Jim Cramer on the show today. He was talking about NVIDIA. He kept talking about the stock price at different points. And John and I don't think in stock like on a like price per share basis, because in the private markets you're thinking like this is a $5 million company, this is a $25 million company, this is a $2 billion company, and less so fixated on the stock price.
That makes sense. I want to talk about kind of the future of the network. Is that what we're calling it? What are we calling it?
Not a network.
It's sort of tongue in cheek because we really have no plans to. First, you can't really build a new TV channel as a startup in the modern era.
But you're thinking about distribution opportunities.
We're thinking about distributing the show, the one show that's me and Jordi and guests everywhere. We want to be omni-channel, but not have other shows on our network. The network thing is just a funny...
So VPN was basically a way to get comms people like somewhat more comfortable with coming on a podcast. So it was a few, like if you think about it, it took a long time for people to get comfortable with.
Like Jensen went on Rogan.
Anna put Mark on Theo Von, right? Theo Von. Like, can you imagine putting a public company CEO on like the Theo Von podcast in like at any point in history? And so TBPN, we have the aesthetics of TV, but you can think of it as just a highly produced like live stream effectively. So
yeah.
And the other reason not to go down the network route and the talent management route, it's very possible that in the future we'll identify talent that we love and we want to say like, hey, we want to help you build a show. But almost every content creator or personality that has pursued this strategy, like you can think of Dave Portnoy with Barstool, or even so Dave Portnoy is basically a content creator, a blogger, adds more talent, creates a number of stars.
Yeah.
They all leave.
Her own network.
Alex Cooper leaves and then starts unwell. She creates her own stars. They leave, and so we don't think that's basically.
Are you talent or are you talent management?
Yeah,
I do see them as discrete things.
And
the other thing is
we just want to build the show. Yeah,
like networks had a lot of leverage when it was super expensive to create content and to distribute it. Like you needed huge teams, and now people can just like open up a laptop and start creating content. And so it's going to be really, really hard for businesses of all types to retain talent, right? And so we look at it as like, we don't have a monopoly on the guests that we have on the show, right? They can go on other podcasts, they can go on TV. The only thing we have a monopoly on is like ourselves.
Yeah.
So.
I want to talk about it's been a year since you launched, right? Officially. And you are profitable after that 1 year with about $5 million in ad revenue. And I've heard that you were looking to triple that
in the Wall Street Journal
in 2026.
That was a huge moment for us.
How close are you to achieving that goal?
We're basically sold out for next year.
For 2026. And talk to us about that partnership philosophy. You have year-long contracts, exclusive based on industry. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I started my career building an ad network on YouTube and ended up doing partnerships with thousands of independent YouTube channels and then helping brands spend dollars across those channels. And so I had personally effectively done thousands of like these types of like creator media deals. And so early on with the show, we knew we were going to be live streaming for 3 hours a day. That doesn't leave a lot of, imagine if like you lost the 3 hours out of your workday every single day from 11 to 2. Like it's very hard to actually be super productive outside of creating that content, especially because we spend the entire morning like prepping for the show. And so I wanted revenue predictability. And so every deal that we did this year and for next year, we did on an annualized basis. And so I pitched every advertiser that we were basically building like a kind of like a Formula One team, and you were going to sponsor.
You got to be on the journey you're making, right?
Yeah, we've made several. We've made hats and jackets, and every sponsor appears on them. Every sponsor is in every episode, all the clips. And so we instantiate the content all over in every channel, every platform, and the sponsors come along for the ride across all of those different versions of the show, whether it's 3-hour live stream or a little short clip or short or any sort of post.
But there's
that was
exclusivity piece too.
Yes.
Yeah, so we do advertiser category exclusivity because we do all our ads host-read. CNBC can run an ad for this CRM company and then have content and do another CRM company, and it's better. But John can't encourage you to use some CRM and then a minute later, 10 minutes later, encourage a competitor. We do have, it's free for all on the editorial side. So we'll have even competitor CEOs to our own sponsor on the show all the time. But with, we work with a lot of enterprise software companies. You don't just decide to spend $1 million on software from seeing one ad. Like, it's very much a process. And because news is very unpredictable, we wanted to make sure that every advertiser was effectively in every piece of content that we put out in at least a small way.
Talk to me a little bit about what's next. I've heard events are potentially in the works.
We're pretty early there. It does seem like the next logical extension. But that's very low priority over just like doing the show, making the show better. We're super focused on that. I think the most important thing is we do, again, just have really focused. We think all of any success that we've had is because of the focus. And so we don't want to start a fund, don't want to partner up with a venture fund or launch a product or launch a piece of software that would compete with one of our advertisers. We want the show to be really great. And then at some point, yes, you do some merch here and there. And then you might do some events.
And you're looking at distribution opportunities as well.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, I think
I very much want the show to be everywhere. That is the road.
Where do you want it to be the most?
I don't know that I mean, Twitter and X have been where the tech folks hang out. So it's made a lot of sense to grow the largest audience there, and the audience there is in the millions. And we really do a great job of reaching that community. I think that we've grown our Substack a ton this year, newsletter, and that just has allowed us a completely different relationship directly with our audience. There's still more that we could be doing on the short form side. I'm really excited about Instagram. We're looking at other stuff. I still feel like there's a lot of opportunity in LinkedIn. The New York Times actually called us ESPN or Sports Center for the LinkedIn crowd. And we don't spend that much time on LinkedIn. And I do think that there's a logical thing. We talk about business. It makes sense. Our content should do well there, and we're doing fine. But I think that that's a place where we could be really, really dominating in the future.
We're getting close on time, so I want to do a quick rapid fire.
Please.
Top news source. Where do you go to get your news?
Wall Street Journal.
X, Wall Street Journal. Okay. Dream guest who has not appeared on the show.
Dream guest. We're working through the Mag 7, so the big CEOs who want to
guest was Doug DeMuro.
Yeah, Larry Ellison doesn't do a lot of media. He'd be interesting to talk to.
Historically pulled out of media. If you're on a desert island with limited Wi-Fi, who are the 3 people that you must follow on X?
On X specifically,
or TikTok or wherever you follow people.
Probably Dylan Patel at Semi-Analysis. I feel like he does a great job. I've enjoyed him. Ben Thompson is also a great analyst, although he's mostly just posting links to his Substack, but we'll count him. And then, maybe Doug DeMuro. You got to be up to date on what's going on in the car world.
And
why not?
I mean, we have almost exactly the same. We spend effectively 12 hours a day talking together, so we have
your algorithms are the same.
Somewhat mirrored.
Yeah.
Last question for you. How many Diet Cokes do you go through a show?
I drink 3 every show. but that's after drinking 2 or 3 yerba mates as well. So I'm on like 600 milligrams of caffeine by the time.
At all time.
But this is way lower. It used to be 3 Celsius during the show, which is insane and like genuinely dangerous.
Or he's
Genuinely dangerous.
he's a side of
I would not.
worse.
Yeah, I do a lot, but still, it's like that's too much. That's too much.
Well, congrats on all you've built, and thank you guys so much for being here.
Thanks for having us. This is
Thank you for having us.